Well, hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, a nature and wildlife photographer based in Northern California. And today I wanted to give you some first impressions on some new kit that I'm trying, the Nikon Z8 and the 400mm f4.5, along with the 1.4x teleconverter. And I'm out here on kind of a gloomy, cloudy day where we're about to expect a lot of rain over the weekend for 3 days. So I wanted to get out this morning as the light is kind of holding out. It's a bit cloudy, but overcast is actually kind of fun to shoot in sometimes too. So this camera kit is really a proof point for this kind of general operating mentality I have around wildlife photography, which is that everything is about compromises. When you're exposing a scene, for example, juggling aperture, shutter speed, ISO, that is an exercise in compromises. You might compromise and boost your ISO in order to get a sharp shot at a faster shutter speed. And the same thing goes for camera equipment. Sometimes we're juggling things like the price of the camera equipment, the aperture with the size and the image quality. Something like a 500 f4 or 600 f4 lens is very expensive, has extremely good image quality, and it weighs a ton traditionally. And so, we're making these sacrifices in portability and weight in order to have image quality. Now, money can make things a lot easier. That's where you get the best options sometimes, is to spend the most money and you can maybe get a better compromise, but it's always some sort of compromise. Now, this lens, the 400 f4.5, is kind of an interesting lens. It really speaks compromise to me. 400mm is an interesting focal length. It's really too short for bird photography, where you want something more like 600, even higher, maybe an 800mm lens for small birds. But it's also a prime lens, so for larger mammals, it's not necessarily the best option either. You might want something like a 100 to 400 or 100 to 500, or even one of those zooms that go like, say, 150 or 180 or 200 to 600mm. So this is kind of an interesting choice, but it's working. And my first impression is that after shooting for a better part of a week with this thing, and shooting thousands of photos already, there's something about this that's really cool. It's incredibly lightweight. The whole thing weighs, the whole lens, when you take off the foot, weighs less than 3 pounds. What I've done here is I've put a Peak Design capture clip on the end. It can bolt directly on using the 1/4-inch screw. And so it gives you an amount point here for something like a Peak Design strap or something like that with very low weight. So it's just a very lightweight lens. It's a joy to use, really fun to use, very good for bird and flight photography, and for general kind of walkabout lens. The image quality is exceptional when it's wide open at 4.5 at 400. However, I'm using the teleconverter most of the time, the 1.4x. And when I add that teleconverter in there, I do see a bit of a hit, not necessarily to the image quality, but to the contrast and ghosting a little bit in the image. So I guess you could say image quality. But it's nothing that isn't surmountable with a little bit of editing in post and proper exposure in the field. So I think, it's a bit short, but at the same time, I think that's a compromise that I'm actually willing to make. And the reason why is because you do get into situations where you want something really fast, like f4. And so example with that, earlier this week, or actually last weekend, I was shooting river otters, which is a new species for me, the American river otter. And I found them and I was so excited, but it was actually after dark. The sun had just set, and man, it would have been perfect if I was there at sunset. But because I missed it, I still wanted to capture the scene. So having 4.5 aperture available was really important. So I shot wide open. I was boosting ISO all the way up to 12,800, but I was still able to get those shots that I absolutely would not have gotten if I had had a 6.3 lens. So something like this, when you compare it to, say, the 600mm f6.3 Nikon, the PF lens, I see the virtue of the compromise and taking a lens like this into the field, because it does give you that ace up your sleeve of an f4.5 when you need it. So is it worth the compromise? My first take is, yeah, I think it actually is. I think I'd rather have something like this, the versatility of this, in the stable, rather than just put all my eggs in, say, an f6.3 lens basket. Oh man. Okay, so there are a lot of harriers here, and I've been tracking a male and female harrier. And the female harriers are brown, but the males are this incredible gray, and they're really, really stunning. They're called gray ghosts. I just got a lot of shots of one, and it reminded me of something else I wanted to mention, which is that when comparing this to the Canon R5, I'm finding the Z8 to have really good subject tracking. The detection is not as good as the Canon is, meaning you often will have the bird in frame, but you won't be able to get it to detect. Here's the harrier again. Just a silhouette, but still cool. You see it go behind me here. I don't know, it's pretty small, pretty wide angle lens here, but when it captures a subject, when you're tracking it, you see the benefit of that faster sensor. And I think I'm detecting that more of my shots are in focus in a series. I'm getting really the entire series in focus. And I think that's because it has a faster readout speed. I mean, it's just really fast electronic shutter. So it's a joy to shoot with no blackout shooting and with that faster sensor. The detection is very good, if not the best, and the tracking is up there with anything I've ever shot, and better than, in my experience, the Canon R5 has been. There's a mallard right here too. It's always nice to get like a nice sharp shot of a mallard. It's coming right up. It performs very, very well. The Nikon Z8 compared to, say, the Canon R5, you know, I did one video on this before when the Z8 had just come out. I'm starting to see a lot of value to using a camera body like this. You do it for the lenses, but the body is performing really well. It's able to pick up subjects that are moving directly towards me, which is another real benefit, something I thought the R5 struggled with. I got this shot of a seagull eating a pipefish, which was unbelievably cool. And I got that with this combination with the teleconverter on. So it's tracking really well even with the teleconverter. So I'm pretty happy with this kit, to be honest with you, as a first impression. And after the first couple thousand photos, I would say that this is a keeper. And I'm really grateful to have this combination. I think the 400 with the Z8 is a fantastic walkabout combination. So that's my first impressions on the kit. I hope it's helpful. I plan to make quite a few more videos about this gear and in using it in the field. So please like this if it was valuable to you, and please subscribe to the channel if it's something that you might be interested in the future. With that, take care, be well, and if you're in California, stay dry over the next couple weeks. And if you're in the rest of the country, please stay warm. See you later.